Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rosemary Sayer. I'm a writer and business communications consultant and author of More to the Story, Conversations with Refugees. It is my great pleasure to be interviewing Hyeonseo Lee this afternoon, who is the author of this extraordinary book, The Girl with Seven Names. Let me introduce her first, and then for the next little while we're going to take you on an extraordinary journey and have a conversation. We're going to leave plenty of time for questions because you will have many. We're going to talk about the journey in this book. It doesn't matter if you've read it or you haven't read it, because at the end of the session you'll want to read it and read it again. Hyeonseo Lee was born in North Korea and lived there until her escape in 1997. She has recently completed writing this memoir, and it was published in 2015 and is now available in more than 20 countries, and it's been translated in so many. Over 5 million people have viewed a TED Talk about Hyeonseo Lee's life in North Korea and her escape to China and struggle to bring her family to freedom. I urge you to watch that if you haven't. Hyeonseo Lee has given testimony about North Korean human rights in front of a special panel of the United Nations Security Council, and she's discussed issues about North Korea and peace with leaders around the world. She's recently completed her undergraduate studies in English and Chinese in South Korea, and indeed missed her graduation ceremony because she was here.
Yeah. Thank you.
She's written articles for the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Korea Real Time, the London School of Economics Big Ideas blog, and has worked as a student journalist for the South Korean Ministry of Unification. She's been interviewed by so many people. I think we are enormously blessed to have her here. She's currently writing another book with other female North Korean who are living in South Korea, and is planning to start an organisation to help promising North Korean refugees interact with the international community. Will you welcome her again to Perth?
Thank you so much for coming.
Well, where to begin? Because this is a journey, let me tell you. We talked for an hour before we came here and figured we could be here for a day. But what I want to do in the time we have is for Hyeonseo to try and tell us how her life was in North Korea and then how she's got to where she is today. It's a big ask. Can you tell us about being born in North Korea and what your life was like as a child?
Yeah, I was happy by being born in North Korea, because until I found out the truth about the reality, I was born in the military family. Actually, yeah, maybe not. I mean, because later I found out I feel really privileged to being born in the family, because in North Korea we have a social hierarchy. So it depends on my grandparents' background and my parents' background that my status is divided into 3 different layers: upper class, middle class, and lower class. People from lower class, they have no any future. They can't even study in universities, or they can't even join to the militaries. Literally, they have no future. So they have to ended up their life in like farmers or miners or construction site workers. But I was lucky that, yeah, being born in military family, my father was the military official, which I never suffered hunger, and that's why we received the most support from the dictator, including house, every gift we received.
So you would be upper class?
Yeah, but that's why when people will start suffering from 1980s even, I didn't really see the reality. But from 1995, I started to see the people dying on the street. That was very shocking moment. But until I see that, I was happy living in North Korea because I can't see the outside world. As North Koreans, we don't know there's another life existed besides we have. Because actually many foreigners living in the outside world, they really wondered how North Koreans are live as modern-day slaves, like human robots. Why they are not questioning about the regime? Why not they are thinking about overthrow the regime or demonstration? But I believe every human being, every person here who was born in North Korea will become exactly like us. Because from the moment we were born, what we saw, what we hear, we were brainwashed is all about the dictator. So we are not allowed to leave the country, and even not to the outside world, but also in domestic, into other provinces. It's not easy to move unless we have the travel certificate from the government. So yeah, and then the regime told us many bad things about the outside world, saying,
like what?
Like capitalist countries, especially America and South Korea, the biggest enemy was Americans, and the second enemy was Japanese, and third was South Koreans, and the biggest the friends was Iran or Russia, Cuba, something. So I thought they were the best country in the world at the time. But later, after escaped the country, I realized actually they were all friends, the dictators. That's why we learned about them, at least. So
it's interesting to me when I read your book that you talk about it in hindsight that it was clearly a brainwashing, but I found it almost appalling listening to you or reading about your life at school, where you had to stand up and self-criticize yourself.
Yeah. That's the way how works the regime, because we loyal the regime, which I thought I loyal the regime with my heart, which every citizens from bottom of our heart. But on the same time, later I realized actually there was fear more than the hurt, because we grew up with constant public executions. Mm. And I saw my first public execution when I was 7. And then I didn't know even what was the meaning of a public execution. And right now it's disappeared in North Korea, hanging. But I saw at the time it was hanging. Because we were moving so many places as a military family. It was, at that time, was right near the Pyongyang area, which I wrote in my map in the book, that in that area I saw the man was dying by hanging his neck under a bridge. And then, many people were shocked, and then nobody talking about anything at the public execution. And also, as a North Korean, we grew up with constant public executions, actually. And then one time I saw a man was shot his head by the gun, and then his brain, blood was exploded. Especially during the winter, it's horrible, the views. Mm-hmm. And then some people even faint after see that. And then we can't pay our sympathy, showing our sympathy to them. If we do that, we will consider the betrayer, same thing. So everybody have to be quiet. And the most horrible things in public execution, the immediate family have to stand at the very front line. No other people. Immediate family and relatives, the first. So, for them to see their family members dying in front of them, I think, wow, I can't imagine. That's why watching the constant public executions, that reminding me that I shouldn't do anything to disobey the leadership. That's what regime wanted from us.
The whole idea of the leadership and this loyalty to the leadership, I think, is something we in the West would struggle with. But from a very early age, it's almost the first words you learn. The first words you learn are "dear leader."
Yeah. for me, my parents wasn't important. To me, the dictator, actually dear leader, Kim Il-sung, the first one who died in 1994, and the second one who died in 2011 was the most important, because they were not human for me. He was God. I believed the God even didn't go to the bathroom like humans, or drink alcohols or smoking, because I believed they're gods. So the moment we were born, instead of learning the parents' name, we learned Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il. We can't learn exactly Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il. It's illegal in North Korea. We should put behind, either in front of their name, put the general or dear, respected. Every word, we have too many titles, even I don't remember everything. So we have to put that. So the first sentence I learned, thank you so much to our General Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il.
That's the first sentence you wrote.
First thing. So we have pictures in our home, and then we have to go to their pictures. Not every day, but major the holidays, and then including my birthday, and then whenever I feel whenever my parents give me a gift, I never thanked them, because I thought that's all came from him. That's why I just holding the gift, and I just go to their pictures. I think almost every North Koreans will look like that, and that's why many years later, I had to escape to China. When I found out that it was a serious brainwash and it was all fake, I feel I lived in guilty for so long that I never thanked them, or I never buy gift to my parents, or I never gave them a birthday gift. So that's why I punish myself that I never celebrate birthday, even today. And I hate any holidays, even today, because the holidays makes me more lonely, that thinking about my families back in North Korea who's suffering under the regime right now.
Let's talk about how you escaped to China. You're how old? How old were you when you escaped to China?
Actually, I forgot to answer the previous one, the self-criticism session, right?
Well, we got the feel for it. There's so much in this book, I'm telling you. How old were you when you escaped to China?
At the end of 17, it's a few days later, turned out 18.
Okay, now you've got a picture where you lived. You're actually in a town, in a border town, and you can see China, can't you? It's how far? Just over there?
No, over here.
Okay.
The end of the front line.
End of the front line.
Yeah.
China is this close.
Yeah.
So you can walk to China.
Yes.
When there's ice.
Yep, there's a river. So
you're 17. Why do you decide to do this? And what happens?
Normally, my book is different to the other North Korean defectors' book, because many people left the country, especially during 1990s, in search for freedom, because either they die in North Korea or die in China. It doesn't really big matter for them. Anyway, they will be died. That's why they took huge risk and they escaped the country. But my situation was, I suffered more after escape the country than living in North Korea in terms of financial situation. But because I was living right next to the border at the time, while most North Koreans have no chance to access outside information, outside media. Because in school, I learned that North Korea was even superior to China. But luckily, I was living right next to China at the time, because we all have same curriculum, all of the country. And then, but me, at least I could compare that it's different. That because while we are suffering the power shortages most night, that we were living in a completely black hole. There's no light at night. But China, just in front of me, it looks...
Over there, it's all light?
So different. Just that they even had the neon signs. Why I didn't know what's neon signs even. So we did we really disrespected the Chinese people. We didn't consider, I feel, in North Koreans, we always said Chinese are dirty people, something. Seriously, the regime told us the North Koreans, we have the most genuine blood DNA in this world. So the all world human being in this world respect our dear little Kim Il-sung the most. He's the #1 human being.
Wow.
That's why we did believe. That's why we believe the Chinese are very low status people. And I feel one day, more and more when I was growing up, I realizing it's like their economy is growing up, and I can see they're building something across the border. And then in North Korea, we have no way to access outside media. But because I was living near the border, our television could pick up a Chinese TV signals, and then I didn't understand what it says because I don't know how to speak Chinese, but I can see, I can feel they're more open and they're economically developed. More, I feel they have love something from the TV, while we only have one TV channels and they're all strong words like communists, like all this kind of words, and then marching, everything, just every single news, every interview talking about how great Dear Leader was best. So compared to our TV, was something different. It completely transformed my thoughts, and then that's why I had a bigger desire at the time to find out the truth.
So you put on your red shoes and you walked across the ice into China.
Yeah, because it's ridiculous to wear the red shoes at the time.
Actually, I got let in on a secret. It was going to be the girl with the red shoes originally, because you had these beautiful red shoes.
But I was naive at the time and brave, because I just was desired to find the truth. But I didn't know to find out the truth, I had to pay biggest risk, everything. Just maybe I was stupid at the time. Just I wanted to just see the China with my own eyes, not the border areas. I saw the city I saw from inside the TV. That's why I crossed the border. But the crossing border is very difficult. For more than 99% of North Koreans crossing the border, they have to risk their life. But because I was lucky that in that situation, the border guards are patrolling. In Chinese side, there's not many border guards because they don't worry about the Chinese crossing border into North Korea, right?
Not a big problem, I'm thinking.
We only worry about our side. So each 15 meters, there's 2 border guards armed. They are patrolling. So it's a very serious border. But because even when we go under the river, we have to get the permission. Otherwise, people were just running through the border. So, but because we were living next to the border, we had a really good relationship with the border guards. That's why he thought I was coming back. Because I certainly didn't know I was not coming back to North Korea. So I said I will come back in 1 week later, maybe. So yes, even he helped me where to cross everything, and they put the other side, the Chinese smugglers to help me. So it was like, for me, leaving North Korea was a holiday. But it was, but on the same time, I feel something very heavy. Like very scared. I know certainly this is not legal thing to do. I'm crossing the border. It's not a normal river. But at the moment, I didn't know that this will be the last minute with my country. I still consider that's my country. And then last minute with my family, or will be separated, make us separating for 14 years, or I will be hunted by the Chinese authorities for so long. I will get my 7 names. I never knew any answers. I thought just to see the China and then come back.
Didn't quite work out that way. I'm conscious there's so much to talk about. To summarize a little bit, you get there, you get some help from some trading friends that your entrepreneurial, wonderful mother knew, and you end up, after a little while, with auntie and uncle who live in a part of northern China which has a strong Korean population, and you change your name there for the first time.
Yeah. Growing up in North Korea, already I had 2 different names. So sometimes I was thinking, maybe my fate was changed the moment I was born in North Korea. Because the father that I thought my biological father, and one day I found actually he's my stepfather. So it gave me a lot of a struggle to accept the reality. So at that time I knew that that's why I had 2 different names. One day I'm 10. When I was 4, I had a different name. And then that maybe led my life to have 7 names. The name I have right now, it's not name that my parents gave. And then, yeah.
So why did you change your name with your aunt and uncle?
Because when I arrived in China, I heard there's many North Korean defectors. They were in danger because Chinese government, even today, they are doing their best to repatriating North Korean defectors back to North Korea, where torture is standard, imprisonment, even sometimes in public execution. But because of the ally between North Korea and China, they keep doing it. That's why I'm fighting for that. So I had to change my name to protect myself. That's why my uncle gave me my 3rd name at the time. And then, that's how I started to, and then...
So you started to tell people you were a Korean Chinese person?
Make it short, in the end, I couldn't go back to North Korea. There's a story, long story. So I did my best because I couldn't go out myself. I realized without speaking Chinese. And then, so I had to start my own life. I have to earn money myself. The relatives is not close relatives, it's really long distance relatives. They were trying to put me in forced marriage, everything, even I was very young at the time. So the circumstances make me, I have to escape or leave. Say kindly leave, but I literally escaped the situation in 2 years later. So for the day, I just studied Chinese very, very hard. And then 2 years later, I started, after escape from arranged marriage, and then I started working at the restaurant to earn money. And but at that time, I had a very horrible experience, which is very common for North Korean defectors. I was lucky, at least it happened to me 1 time, but other North Korean defectors even happened 5 times or 7 times sometimes, that I was caught by the Chinese police. But there wasn't my mistake. Somebody who I know, they reported me to the police station. So the policies, they wear not uniforms, like a very normal fashion. So I never noticed that they were policemen, secret police. And then, they asked me, is it your name? So I said yes. If I could say, I said no, that's not me. Maybe I will not have the miserable experience, but since I never knew who was there, so I said yes. And then I was detained in the police station, and then I was interrogated among around 30 policemen. But 3 main officers was sitting in front of me. They were the main interrogator, while other policemen was standing in the room. But I did my best at the time. I completely I should act in this moment. Otherwise, because I'm not worried about only myself, but if I repatriate to North Korea, it will kill my family. Because the regime didn't know that I escaped the country. As my family reported to the regime that I was a missing child. If once I repatriate, then it's evidence that I went to China. That's why I did my best, and then it's make short, and then they couldn't believe in the end that I was actually a North Korean defector, because my speaking and then writing, Chinese writing and reading was excellent at the time, because it was 3 years after I arrived. Because China has a huge population even today, and Many Chinese even don't know how to read. It's true. So they couldn't even believe that I was a nose skin defector. But still at that time, I didn't know why I was there. And then at the very end, the 3 main officers, one of them whispering to other next policeman by saying in Chinese, she's not North Korean. This is a false report. When I heard that, I wonder who was that person. Still, I will be wonder until I die, but I can't even make sure, guaranteed, because I was at the time stupid. I'm young. That I say whenever I meet Chinese friends,
I'm not sure you were stupid. I'm not feeling stupid here.
I just told them I'm from North Korea, but why I have to hide? I mean, being born in North Korea wasn't crime, right? That's why I just told them, but that ended me very in dangerous situation. And then I got huge lesson from them, from that. And then from that time until today, I always have I have problem right now. It's hard to trust anybody, actually. Putting glass, always, it protects me from since then. That's why I had to change so many times. Because of the name I was called, so I had many names. So different group of people know this name. Whenever I moved to cities or the workplace, I had so many different names. Ended up with 6 names in the end, and the people were confused. So there's some funny episode about that.
Now, you worked in the restaurants for 4 years, but in the back of your mind, you're developing Plan B. Well, actually, it's Plan A. There were many plans in your life. You wanted to get your family out of North Korea. I'm conscious at the time, and we've got to get Mum and your brother out, but you had a couple of attempts. Do you want to talk about... It seemed, I mean, to us, this seems like a good plan, right? Get Mum and little brother out of North Korea. Your dad had passed away, correct? So Mum and little brother are there. We've got to get them out, right? This seems a logical thing to do.
Yeah, hiding in China for 10 years, there's many obstacles. Sometimes I feel like I wanted to end up the life because I feel so exhausted and tired, and seems maybe I have no chance to meet my family in my life. It's impossible. So what I'm doing here, sometimes because living in China was so tired, especially at the beginning 0.5% of my life, that I always lived prepared life. I had to prepare some bags in the corner, put all important things, ready to escape if there's emergency. Because one of my friends also happened in the middle of the night when she was sleeping, she was taken to the policeman and then she was repatriated to North Korea. So in that case, I have to always prepare. And I feel in the end tired, and then I feel, I was thinking, if I really tired in the end, I can suicide. I was really thinking myself, why not? My mom will not, she will not know about that, will not find out the truth. But again, at the same time, it's not the right things to do for my mom, who worries about me, maybe who hope to see me one day in North Korea. It's not the right things to do her. That's why that gave me encourage to, maybe if I continue, maybe I can have hope to meet her one day. And then I made this successfully in 13, 15, 14 years later that I ended up. I was very lucky, actually, while almost North Korean defectors, there's no chance to meet their family. All of them left behind in North Korea, but I made it happen right now.
So you eventually, should we get you to South Korea first and then talk about Mum and your little brother? There's so many strands we could take in Hyeonseo Lee's story. You have to read this book. Let's get you to South Korea first. Meanwhile, your heart's breaking for your family. You're watching some television and you suddenly become aware of the fact that there are people called asylum seekers.
2004.
And this is a new concept for you, isn't it? But you work out, because you're a very smart woman, that actually you've now managed, it's a long story and you've got to read about it, having never had an ID card for a long time, that she has now secured an ID card, but she can actually get on a plane and fly to Bangkok via South Korea and just get off the plane and claim asylum.
Yeah. Actually, when I arrived in Seoul, when I sought asylum at the Incheon airport in Seoul, and that made a big problem actually. At the time, South Korean government, the National Intelligence Service, they didn't believe that I was a North Korean defector. They thought I'm a Chinese citizen, impersonating the situation by receiving South Korean citizenship.
Because you spoke
Chinese. Perfect Chinese, and then my look, everything. It's not like somebody who suffered in North Korea just a while ago. Or
because you did this flight thing and you had a ticket. And
then the document I brought, passport or driver license, everything was too perfect. So they thought, even today it's happening, some Chinese, Korean Chinese, they are doing it. That's why they thought I was one of them. But yeah, and then Indians, I was really at the time, maybe because it's a long story in the book, as I said, to make a decision to come to South Korea wasn't easy. It took for me 4 years to making decision, and then to coming to South Korea, I have to take another risk. Maybe I might be really caught by the Chinese police by trying it, and then maybe really ended up my life in North Korea, which it happens for many defectors. So I had to have a lot of courage for that, and then in the end, as a Chinese citizen, it's impossible to have a South Korean passport, visa, because the Chinese government does not provide unless I have my own house, property. The visa will not provide it. So at the time, I got a visa, Thailand tourist visa, but I took the ticket, I bought ticket, what was it? The stopover ticket?
Transit.
From Shanghai, I was living in Shanghai by the time, Shanghai to Incheon airport, Seoul, and then Bangkok.
Which was weird, but she did this.
Yeah, so I had to get through the Shanghai airport immigration section I had to convince them that why I have to, because especially Chinese government is very serious on Korean Chinese in that direction. Maybe they will have, what was it? Fake asylum or whatever. They were gonna. There's some Chinese are really disappearing in South Korea after went there as a tourist visa. That's why it's very serious at the time. So in the end, I sought asylum at the Incheon airport. But actually, when I was seeking asylum, I felt wow, many people in South Korea, they would look at me like a alien, because they maybe in their life they never met the enemy country, or 50% of the divided countries, brothers and sisters for 7 decades. So maybe I feel they were welcoming us with their, embrace, everything.
Not so much?
Yeah, so that's why when I sought asylum at the airport, I said I'm North Korean defector, and then workers at the office, immigration office, they just, when they was working, and they just look at me, and they started working again. So they completely ignored me, besides one person who brought the National Intelligence, every service, the workers, officers. But I feel, wow, you guys are not interested, the person who came from enemy country? And then actually I found the answer a few hours later when I was taking car with the National Intelligence Service people who came to airport to pick up me. They told me this morning, from Thailand, Cambodia, Mongolia, or Laos, there's 150 North Korean defectors arrived in this airport. So like that, every week, 150 defectors arrived in South Korea. So for them, they feel sick of it to see us. But yeah, because of my perfect document at the time, I was dangerous. They even forced me to go back to China at the time. But
they didn't, and you stayed.
Yeah.
And South Korea became your home.
Kind of.
Yeah. Kind of. When I was reading it, I thought, well, it'll be home. Not so much.
So I think, actually, in my TED Talk, 2 years ago, where I gave speech, I said there's no country I could call my own. And then many people who saw that, and then today they are asking, so did you find your country right now by this time? Actually, that's a really tough question to me. I don't think I can find ever. So I said that, why I have to think about that, so I just forget about that right now. So I having a lot of support from all around the world. So I think these two, not specific, but I'm considering myself the citizens of the world. Even though I'm living in South Korea, I feel this is my physical home, but still in my soul, I feel like I don't know where to put that. So always I feel empty, like I'm floating somewhere. Like, yeah, that's not only me. I guess all North Korean defectors having problem in that context.
Yeah. So you live in South Korea, and you're worrying about mum and little brother. So let's get them out. How'd you do that?
That's a long story, actually.
Yeah.
Because
and we want to leave time for questions, and it's an extraordinary story, and it has a Perth connection.
That's 1/3 of my book, the story.
I know.
Because, actually many people ask me right now, what was the most difficult part of writing your memoir? Of course, every single step was painful to me, which I don't want to reopen the scars, but especially the story when I bring my family out, it was the end of 2009. So since it's a very recent memory story, it's the most vivid memory I have. And then especially the journey wasn't myself, the journey with my family. We could be die all together or all successful. There's no 100% guaranteed. 50% just to die, ended up in North Korea, or 50% to make successful to South Korea in the end. So I'm telling even my mom, right now, if back then 2009, before I started this plan to helping my family escape from the brutality of the regime, if I knew the answers, I don't think I have the courage to start the project. Since I believed my luck, and then I thought I can make it, and then that's the only way I can meet my family. Otherwise, until I die, I will have no chance. That's why I took huge risk in my life. I know the answer, maybe we can die or not. So it started, but I never knew that would be that difficult. So that's why, I have no courage to start the project, but I was brave. And then 14 years later, I just went back the border between North Korea and China. And yeah, it's a long story. Again, my story is compared to typical North Korean defectors, it's really different. When my mom and brother escaping the country it's a very drama, the story. Escaping the border, right now many people have to risk their life. They are shooting guns right now. The new dictator, he ordered right now. But also, again, this time was exceptional because my brother was he was a huge smuggler. In North Korea, smuggler is the best to earn money in North Korea. Because the society is such a corrupted society, there's no any rules. So the only way making money, who make a lot of money, is the winner in that society. So my brother hired at the time somehow 7 border guards was waving hand behind my brother and my mom when they're crossing the border, because they didn't know that my mom and brother were not coming back. Because my brother was crossing the border all the time, so they thought he was coming back exactly as a user. But it's make sure he couldn't go back to North Korea. Initially, he didn't want to follow me to South Korea. He said my mom follow me because he didn't want to give up all the weird stuff he has in North Korea.
Plus, he was engaged.
Yeah, But in the end, he couldn't go back because somebody reported to the high-ranking officers in the military that my brother took with one woman and then they crossed. in North Korea, still we have a pretty serious about the human trafficking stories that many people fled the country and they sold as sex slaves or wives to a man in China. It happens. So they thought, they called my brother, if you come back with the woman, we are not making problem you as a human trafficker. But if you are not, you come back without the woman, certainly my brother didn't say that's my mom. So you will be his problem. We know that that's ended up he will be in prison. And then the regime, if they started the investigation, they were gonna find out that was his mom and the sister all disappeared. Then that's too obvious. That's why it's a really hurt story that I just ended up my brother's life, literally. And then we just have to start another journey. But it was the number 60th anniversary, the founding Chinese. It's October 10th at the time. So it's a huge holiday in China. And then the crackdown, all the border area, and Beijing, especially Beijing, was very serious, I found. And then the border area was, everywhere was a policeman, suddenly. So, yeah, I never knew that from the first departure, 5 minutes, we will start have problem. And then from there,
problem after problem after problem after problem.
I think it's a miracle. Seriously, it's a miracle. Still, we don't really want to talk about that story in Korea because it's too painful to talk about that. But only first time I was reminding myself when I was writing TED Talk, the draft, I have to say about the story, and then I couldn't continue at the time. That's why we don't want to talk about the stories. And yeah, in the end, make sure that when we arrived in Laos,
Tell me about the kindness of strangers. Mum and little brother are in jail in Laos because the trip has gone badly.
You know, for me, this time visiting Perth has a very special feeling because it's the homeland of my hero still to me, who helped my brother and mother get from out of the prison. Because in the end, my family was ended up prison in Laos. They suffered in like Luang Nam Tha in Laos and Luang Nam Tha, and in the end in Vientiane, there's 2 prison life they suffered. And then when the Lao government asked the fine fees per person with US dollar, and at that time already my money was running out of my pocket because already I borrowed money from. I have to pay the Lao government always everyday fine fees, bribes, and giving them money to begging them let me see my family, let them release them when I was negotiating. And then when they finally, told me that there's a fine fee you need to pay unless they can't be released. At the time, I didn't have any money to borrow anywhere. I was just in the middle of somewhere in Laos, in the world, which I never knew about that kind of a country was existed in this world until the moment. And then, I was really...
You're sitting in a cafe.
Yeah.
You're very sad. You've got no money. And you need money to pay a bribe to get mum and little brother out of jail.
I was thinking, how can I get this money? And then one man suddenly asked me, are you a traveler? Speaking English. I don't really understand English at the time. So, but that's one thing I understood. And then that's the only person who started asking me during the long journey. And then I needed somebody to talk. And with broken English and then with dictionary, cell phone has dictionary itself. So I still remember I found the words prison, North Korean de facto or something. So I told him, and then he just immediately said he will help. And then I didn't trust because, there's so many liars or so many people just to take benefits from us when they hear you're North Korean defectors. So we were in vulnerable situations. I was in vulnerable situations all entire my life. So I didn't believe there's an angel actually. But it seems he really thought I'm not believing. And then he went across the street where there's an ATM machine over there. With his credit card, he took out the US dollars. He paid everything. And at the moment, I realized that, wow, the angels, not only in movies or novels, actually they are working, among us.
And sadly, he's not here today.
He's in Thailand, right?
He lives in Perth, and his name is Dick Stolp. And
Yeah.
let's just give him a clap because, we wish he was, because, gee, we'd have him up on stage, wouldn't we? We'd invite him up if he was here.
Yeah. But I thought he's American bastard. To me, all the best enemy was Americans. We never learned Americans as one human being. We only have words American bastard. That's the only words in North Korea. So to me, all white
Yay,
people,
Dick!
to me, all white people look like American bastards, even today.
But it's okay. She's learning, and we're okay. All right, we're okay.
So when I meet Dick, I thought he's really tall, 2 meters. I feel he's giant. I'm very small, and then I thought he's another American bastard. But he said he's Australian. So I know something. It's different countries, but still I feel to me same. And then.
But different now.
Yeah, now I know completely different. But yeah. So I lost contact with him after he helped. There's again long story. After he helped, we had to experience another prison in Laos, in Vientiane. So the story was never ended, and then we had to get through another long process. And then I lost contact with him, everything. And then after my TED Talk, 2013 in United States, and it was so at the time popular. And then Dick, he saw something my escaping from North Korea, and he didn't know that was me. He said later, he thought, I helped one North Korean lady, so he just clicked the button, and then the face was so familiar, and then he could never expected that could me. So at the time, actually, I was advertising to find him in Australia, writing articles in Australian media. And then he found me by saying that. But before that, actually, through the media, from the social media, some people saying, actually, my father or my relative, somebody could be that person. They said that I didn't say his name on the TED Talk at the time. So, I heard from my father he did that, blah, blah. So I said, send me the pictures. And then some of them, they sent pictures. And then I'm even confused. Maybe whether the person is right or not, maybe he got sick. That's why his face changed like this.
Maybe he got old.
Seriously, I was even confused to myself at the time. And then in the end, I said, maybe not, no. And then I found the real Dick. That's why 2013 May, we were united in Sydney, the SBS Insight program. They were invited. So that's the first time after separated we met.
But they're in regular contact now. Yeah. Look, we want to go to questions. We could keep going on, and there are wonderful questions that I could keep asking about how are mum and little brother and what's everybody doing now. But I'm sure you have questions that you would like to put to Hyeonseo Lee. So we have 10 or 12 minutes left. So let's go to questions. And there are roving microphones. I think my friends have roving microphones. So we might see where the roving microphones are before we go to this lady in the front, otherwise nobody will hear. Why don't you shout out and I'll repeat, No, you shout to me and I'll repeat it while we find the roving microphones.
I just wanted to actually ask that question. How did mum and little brother come out of all this?
Okay, and maybe we'll try and keep the answers short so we can get to as many as we can, which is really hard, so you have to buy the book, yeah? So how are mum and little brother, how did it turn out?
Actually, I took huge risk with my life by bringing them. And I thought, as long as we united together, I would find real peace, happiness in my life that I lost for so long. But after I bring my family, I learned huge lessons that I never expected. Our tragedy, the agony, will never be ended, because By bringing my mom, her tragedy agony started from the moment that she left behind the 7, 8 brothers and sisters. She missed them every day, and even today she cries countless nights because she clearly knows that in her lifetime will not see them ever. So by seeing that, I feel so hurt rather than suffering myself, that without my seeing my family. And also what I realized, the reason I brought my family out was I want to show them this beautiful world, you know. With not only the North Korea was kind of just a virtual prison, it's like a huge grave, whole country. That's why I just show them this world, and then people who really experienced in the communism society entire their life, they're used to that kind of life. Who never experienced the freedom, they can't enjoy that. Like that's my mom's case. And then for her, I feel like freedom, this society is not important. The importance is the memory that she shared together entire her life. So she even want to die right now in North Korea, which
She wanted to go back,
yeah,
didn't she?
but that's illegal. So, yeah, but I can't help. At least that's illegal. By helping them to cross back to North Korea it's hugely illegal. I can't help that right now. So, yeah, I have that's I'm suffering right now because of that. And then also my brother, yeah, in the corrupted society, he kind of had successful life through his connections, every power or money, and but came to South Korea, he's nothing, nobody. We have to compete with our counterparts. We have to start from the scratch. He started working at the construction site workers. He was carrying the stones every day in South Korea. He did 6 months the work, and then he felt, wow, he can't do this work. Then he wanted to go back to North Korea. And then he actually flew to the border between North Korea, and then the last minute before cross the border, he called me. He's crossing border into back North Korea. So after we suffered that long journey, 1 year journey, and then he still wanted to go back, and then my mom wanted to go back, I feel like still I'm asking myself whether I made the right decision by bringing them or not. Of course, in the end, in the long run, maybe my brother was thank you for me, but I don't know, still, was it really good for them?
But hey, little brother's about to start university at Columbia.
But my brother was smart enough, and then after he came back from the border, he didn't cross the border in the end, and then he knew that he can't ended up his life in the construction site, and then he killed himself in studying. He only slept 4 hours in a day, and then he studied very hard, and then he started last month from Columbia University in New York, his semester. So I'm happy for him. Yeah. Thank you. But that's not in my book. It's a recent story.
Yeah.
So.